Hello and welcome back to Bookish. Today I wanted to do the third in my installment, my series about movie reviews about the various adaptations of Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Today I want to do a version which is called just Scrooge. Anyway, it's the 1951 version, made in England I believe, and starring an actor named Alastair Sim. Believe it or not, for a long time, Alastair Sim was considered to have given the definitive performance of Scrooge. I believe he performed or played the role of Scrooge several other times in recordings for the BBC Radio, I think, and also I believe he performed the role on stage. This is a black and white version. I think it's the oldest version I'm going to do. There is also a 1935 version, which I actually think is quite charming, which if I can find the clips for, I'll also be doing. But Alastair Sim's version of A Christmas Carol is kind of what I call this one, and I think it's actually pretty good. I'm not sure I agree with the kind of consensus opinion that Sim was great in this role. There are times when I think his portrayal of Scrooge is spot on, and there's some times where I think the difference in acting from a different time period and kind of the overacting of different time period bothers me a little bit. Anyway, as I've done with the other versions of A Christmas Carol, I'm evaluating 6 scenes. Scene number 1 is when Scrooge is confronted by the men collecting for charity. Scene number 2 is Scrooge confronted by the ghost of Marley. And then the other 3 ghost scenes, they're opening scenes, when Scrooge meets the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghosts of future yet to come. And then the 6th scene I evaluate is the Scrooge, the happy Scrooge at the end. Those are the 6 scenes I've chosen. Frequently now, since this is my 3rd round, I thought, why didn't you choose the scene where Scrooge talks to his nephew in his office? Or why didn't you choose the scene where Scrooge goes back to his nephew's house? I quite like Scrooge's nephew as a character. And why no scenes with Bob Cratchit? Well, because I had to choose 6, and to me these 6 are the most kind of foundational, and in terms of interpreting how good the movie is, I think you get to see, Scrooge at every phase. Scrooge angry, Scrooge terrified, Scrooge melancholy, Scrooge somewhat taken back by the sadness of the people that surround him, Scrooge remorseful, Scrooge joyful. I think you'd see all 6 of those phases of Ebenezer Scrooge, and the movie's about Scrooge. Anyway, so the first scene is Scrooge confronted by the men collecting for charity. Here's that scene.
Hello. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years.
In fact, he died 7 years ago this very day. Well, we have no doubt that his generosity is well represented by his surviving partner. At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provision for the poor and destitute.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are. I wish I could say they were not.
And the treadmill and the poor law, they're still in full vigor, I presume?
Both very busy.
Oh, from what you said at first, I was afraid that something had happened to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it.
I don't think you quite understand us, sir. A few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth.
Why?
Because it is at Christmas time that want is most keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What can I put you down for?
Nothing.
You wish to be anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, sir, that is my answer. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. Those who are badly off must go there.
Many can't go there.
And some would rather die.
If they would rather die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population. Besides, it's not my business.
Isn't it, sir?
No. It is enough for a man to understand his own business without interfering with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
I quite like Sim in this scene. I think he does a good job portraying Scrooge as an arrogant and yet kind of low-key angry man who believes that he's right about his feelings for Christmas and his feelings for the poor, And as horrible as you and I know they are, Sim seems to portray, I think, how Scrooge probably really felt, that he was right. This actually makes what happens to Scrooge in meeting the ghosts even more powerful, as showing how that actually is a transformative experience for him. So the second scene is Scrooge confronted by the ghost of his old business partner, Jacob Marley. Here's that scene.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
All right, who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Oh. What do you want with me? In that case, can you sit down?
I can.
Well, do it then.
You don't believe in me.
I don't.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You might be an undigested bit of beef. A piece of cheese. A fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of gravy than of grave in you. It's all humbug, I tell you. Mercy to me.
Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. But why do you walk the earth? And why do you come to me?
I actually think this is quite good. I kind of like the old visual effect of the see-through ghost. I think the ghost of Marley here is good. He's not particularly scary, even though that scream is blood-curdling. He's not particularly scary, but he is so clearly sad and so clearly remorseful about the way he lived his own life that I think he's quite effective. And I like the ghost of Marley. So the third scene is the scene with the ghost of Christmas Present, and if you've watched the other two, you know this is the scene most likely to disappoint me. Anyway, here's that scene from the Alistair Sim version of A Christmas Carol.
Are you the spirit whose coming was foretold to me?
I am.
Who and what are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past.
No, your past.
What is your business here with me?
Your welfare.
My welfare.
Your reclamation, then. Take heed, rise, and walk with me.
Okay, so my reaction to the ghost of Christmas past, that's who this ghost is. I think I said earlier it was a ghost of Christmas present. My reaction here to the ghost of Christmas past is blah. So I'm going to give the ghost of Christmas past here a 2. The fourth scene is the scene with Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas present.
Come in. Come in, and no better man. I am the spirit of Christmas present. Look upon me. You've never seen the like of me before, have you?
Never. And I wish the pleasure had been indefinitely postponed.
So, is your heart still unmoved towards us then?
I'm too old. I'm beyond hope. Go and redeem some younger, more promising creature. Leave me to keep Christmas in my own way.
Mortal, we spirits of Christmas do not live only one day of our year. We live the whole 365. So is it true of the child born in Bethlehem. He does not live in men's hearts only one day of the year, but in all the days of the year. You have chosen not to seek him in your heart. Therefore you shall come with me and seek him in the hearts of men of goodwill.
I quite like this scene. The Ghost of Christmas Present, I think, as I've said several times, is my favorite of the three Christmas ghosts. I think the actor here does a pretty good job. I like the depth to which this scene goes in connecting Christmas to Christianity itself and reminding Scrooge of that. I think that's frequently left out of movie adaptations of A Christmas Carol, and I know Dickens wasn't particularly heavy-handed with that in the novel itself, but I think it's a good part of understanding perhaps why Scrooge begins to change under the influence of the ghosts. So I think this is a pretty good Ghost of Christmas Present. I'm going to give him a 3. The fifth scene is the scene with the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. It's really hard to see the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come in these scenes. His robe is really dark. It's a black and white film. It's at night. I do like the effect of that kind of really pale hand pointing. I like the kind of weird pivot the ghost does when pointing at the grave. I think it's a good scene. I don't think the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is particularly frightening, but I think it's a pretty good scene. So I'm going to give this ghost in this scene a 3. The last scene is the scene with Scrooge redeemed, Scrooge happy, Scrooge, determined to live a better life, and he's going to have a conversation with a young boy outside his window.
Bells, oh, very, very bells. What a beautiful morning. Hello there, hello, you boy, you.
Who, me?
Yes, you. Do you know the butcher's in the next street but one?
I should hope so.
An intelligent boy. A remarkable boy. Tell me, have they sold the prize turkey that was hanging there, not the little turkey, the big one?
What, the one as big as me?
Yes. Delightful boy. Yes, my buck, the one as big as you.
It's hanging there still.
Is it? Very well, then go and buy it.
Whoa, Cur.
No, wait a minute. I'm in earnest. Tell the butcher to bring it here, and I'll give him the name of the party he's to send it to. Come back with the butcher, and I'll give you a shilling. Come back with him in less than 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown. An enchanting boy.
I think this is pretty good. I think Sim does a good job with the aside comments he makes about the young boy. I like the young boy, actually, in this scene quite well. Okay, so I'm going to give Sim in this scene a 3 also. I think it's pretty generic. I think it's a decent scene. I think he does a pretty good job of portraying the change that's taken place in Ebenezer Scrooge. So if I did my math right, that means I believe I gave Sim a 4 for the first scene in which he's confronted by the men collecting for charity. I gave the scene with Jacob Marley a 3, the scene with the Ghost of Christmas Past a 2, the scene with the Ghost of Christmas Present a 3, a scene with the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come a 3, and the scene with Scrooge happy at the end a 3. So that brings the total score for this version of A Christmas Carol to a 20. Like I said, I quite like it. I think this is a serviceable version of A Christmas Carol if you're looking for an older interpretation of it. The movie itself is fairly dark, and I think it's fairly effective. I don't know if you noticed in the opening scenes I showed while I was talking. But I think it's a pretty good version of the movie. It's not one I'm going to watch every single Christmas, but if it were on and I caught it at just the right moment, I would probably definitely watch it. Anyway, if you've seen this version, or if you have any comments about my comments on this version or any of the other adaptations of A Christmas Carol I've talked about, please feel free to leave your comments in the comment section, and thank you for watching.